All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, wake up the echoes as it is time for another season of Notre Dame football. Now, last year for the Irish, they were within an eyelash of making the college football playoff, but oh, how things have changed for this program in South Bend. Now, Brian Kelly, the man who has won more football games than any other head football coach in Notre Dame history, abruptly decided to leave after an 11-1 regular season last year to take over the LSU Tigers program in the SEC. And typically, when you think about it, people don't leave the Notre Dame job, but at the end of the day, money talks, and LSU paid Brian Kelly a ton of money to depart South Bend for Baton Rouge. Now, with that said, the Irish would go on to promote defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman, and of course, the expectations are high that Freeman will be able to keep this Notre Dame program at the level that Brian Kelly did. I mean, you think about what Kelly accomplished. 6 out of the last 7 years, the Irish finished the season ranked 12 or higher. And last year Notre Dame was 11-1 under Kelly before he left. They were 10-2 the previous year, 11-2 in 2019, 12-1 in 2018, and 10-3 in 2017. So that's a lot of W's right there at South Bend, and that's something that the folks that follow Notre Dame definitely expect. Now, of course, Freeman lost his first game last year as a Notre Dame head coach. It was in the Fiesta Bowl loss to Oklahoma State, but nonetheless, it was still a good season for Notre Dame when you think about it. The two teams that they lost to, Oklahoma State in the Fiesta Bowl, and then they lost to Cincinnati at home. And of course, Cincinnati went undefeated, won the American, and then they also were a participant in the college football playoffs. So nonetheless, if you're Notre Dame, you definitely want to build off of that. And for Marcus Freeman, he's a young defensive coordinator. He's a young defensive minded coach. And, he has developed a solid reputation very quickly as being a staunch recruiter. And that's going to be important going forward for his program. Now, with that said, Brian Kelly did leave Marcus Freeman some talent to work with on both sides of the ball for the Irish. You look at junior tight end Michael Meyer, and this kid right here, he fits that mold in that hybrid tight end, kind of H-back, if you will. And, you think back to Brian Kelly's tenure at Notre Dame, he consistently put offensive players in the NFL. He put offensive linemen, running backs, and most notably tight ends and wide receivers. And I think Michael Mayer could be the next good tight end to come out of this Notre Dame program. Now it's going to be up to sophomore quarterback Tyler Buchner. Now, of course, Jack Cohn, after transferring from Wisconsin, played that 1 year for Notre Dame last year and was solid. But now the Irish look like they're going to go forward with Buchner operating this offense. But you think about the playmakers that this Notre Dame team has on the defensive side of the ball. And you think about Isaiah Foskey, and this guy right here is a disruptor. He gets to the football, and on top of that, his presence as an edge rusher opens things up for his teammates on defense. So the thing is, Foskey will see his fair share of double teams this year, but obviously that's going to open it up for other players in that front seven. I also love the ability of senior middle linebacker JT Bertrand. This guy is a football player, plain and simple. Obviously, Freeman won't be, as hands on with the D this year like he was last year because obviously, his role has changed, going from D coordinator to head coach. But nonetheless, you still have some tremendous playmakers on that side of the ball for the Fighting Irish. Now, you look at Notre Dame, and they have some games that you definitely want to focus on. They begin the year by traveling to Columbus, Freeman's alma mater, to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's going to be a very difficult game because you think about it, Ohio State, I talked about them with the Big Ten. I think Ohio State is going to be a team on a mission, as they feel like, 2021 was a year that got away from them. Notre Dame will have an opportunity to fatten up on the wins early. Their first home game, they take on Marshall, and then after that, they host Cal out of the Pac-12. They'll travel to North Carolina to take on the Tar Heels on the 24th of September, and that's going to be a very interesting game right there because North Carolina is one of those teams that you simply never know what you're going to get. The Irish, after a week off, will be in Vegas to take on BYU, and BYU is another one of those teams you simply never know what you get from them. Notre Dame will host Stanford on the 15th of October. They host UNLV on the 22nd of October. So it's again another opportunity for them to, bulk up those win totals. Notre Dame will then travel to Syracuse, take on the Orange, and then another big one when they host Clemson on the 5th of November, and that's already listed as a night game for NBC. Notre Dame will tangle with their yearly battle with Navy on the 12th of November. They host Boston College on the 19th, which should be another opportunity for the Irish to get a win. And then they finish up in Los Angeles against USC. So I think the outlook for Marcus Freeman in year one is very positive. I mean, you got to go back to Lou Holtz in 1986 to find the last time that a Notre Dame head coach did not finish with a winning record in his first year. And of course, obviously for Lou Holtz, things definitely worked out for him because a couple of years after that, he led Notre Dame to their last national championship. But nonetheless, I think the future is bright for Notre Dame under Marcus Freeman. I think he is a guy who could come in and have an impact. Obviously, this is a transition time for the Irish going from Brian Kelly to Freeman, but nonetheless, I think the program is in good hands. I think the proof will be on the pudding when Notre Dame takes the field for this college football season, and I still think the Irish will be one of the top teams on the college football scene. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.